Nope, we're recording. Okay, hi, brothers and sisters. This one isn't on wisdom. I haven't made that one yet. Hope to get into chapters 2 and 3 personally tomorrow, making my notes, and then a day next week I'll hopefully get to making a video. The second video on wisdom, to chapters 2 and 3 possibly. This one is a hard video, for me to make. It might not be for some people, but for me personally, because it's about myself and my own personal calling and how I've come to understand who I am in God. And it sounds arrogant. And I don't like to talk about myself. And so before I even began before I even thought, okay, well, maybe I don't have to make this video. Maybe I won't make this video. And I said to the Lord, I'll let you tell me. And I'm going to open the Bible once. It sounds like I'm, Lord, I'm just opening. That's not how it was. It was asking from my heart, Lord, do you want me to make this video, or would you rather that I refrain from it? I think if you have a message, this is how I was personally looking at it. If you truly have a message, well, did God send you to hide? With that message, isn't the purpose of having a message to share that message? And if you're going to validate that message, and you might even, to some degree, have to validate who you are and how you know who you are. And you don't even got to really share that part of who you are so much as how you came to understand that you were given a message. And so when I said to God, I said, I'm going to let you decide whether I share this particular personal message or not, if I should. And I'm going to open the Bible only one time. I'm going to let my eyes fall on one thing. And based on that one thing that I see, I will determine whether you are telling me, yes, I want to share this message, or no. I opened the Bible, and I will share with you at the end what verse it was the Lord showed me. I'm not making it up. It's hard to believe. I was quite shocked at what I saw, because I had it all shown to me how I would lay this out, how I would begin showing it to you. And it was the phrase at that time that the Lord had shared with me in 2004. And so this is, we'll look at one verse right now. I'm going to do that. I can get away with doing that. And I'm going to share with you part of my story of how I came to know. I won't necessarily tell you outright who I am, who I think I am, who I think the Lord has shown me that I am, but I will show to you some things that I believe have taken place that's helped me to understand that part of my journey. So let's begin with this phrase at that time. And I did a video on this quite a while ago. And the number that I kept focusing on was the number 227. And if memory serves me correctly, that lands the 227th day of the year is August 15th. Let me just look that up, because it might be 228. Okay, so what is, there we go again. Go. What is the 227th day of the year? August 15th. All right? 227, which also happens to be the number in Hebrew, Strong's Hebrew. 227 means at that time. That's what that number means. August 15th, we speculate it, and I pretty much believe it. I don't know about anybody else. At August 15th, and it's of 15th on the Jewish calendar, but it would mean August August 15th, and it doesn't always hit on August 15th. But I speculated that it was, they say it's the most important, or will be, the most important festival ever celebrated on the Jewish calendar. But they don't know why. They don't know what the purpose of it is, if you get moving around in studies on this particular date. And my overall view of it was that what that date was signifying was the birth of the Holy Spirit in the land. That's what that date was signifying. And you look at Woodstock, Lebanon's in there, picture of the dove is in there, Aquarius, the water. There's so many elements to that. Bethel, it took place in Bethel, and all of these details. And I believe it was this huge celebration that the hidden world didn't want you to know. That little eye in the sky. And for those who don't know what it is, we'll maybe discuss it a little bit. But they know what they were celebrating. They know what they were celebrating. It was a huge ritual at the same turn. Trying to, I think, put characteristics on the Holy Spirit to be a particular way. And I think that may have been part of the design of Woodstock. And Woodstock took place on the 227th day of the year. It was held August 15th to August 19th, was it? 15th, 16th, 18th. August 18th, I think it spanned 4 days. So from August 15th to August 18th, 1969 was Woodstock. Woodstock, right? The trees of Lebanon. Interesting. Anyway, we discussed that. So we have this date, 227th. It also means at that time. So why is that date important to me personally? Okay, so we want it to go here first. And we're going to look at the term at that time. Michael's deliverance in the end times. Well, we've come to understand Mikael isn't a man's name. It's not even an archangel's name. It means she who is like God. All right, and if you do your study in the Old Testament, that term appears multiple times, and it's not translated as Michael. It's not. It means she who's like God. So at that time, she who's like God. And we get an address. I can't remember where it is now. I did know where it was. I may post it at the bottom of this video if I upload this video. I may post it underneath. And she has this huge discussion with this other character that is called. And she says, who is like me? Who is like the shepherdess that I will call forth? I can't remember if it's in Jeremiah 49, but I'll post it underneath. And so we get that term, who is like God. And so we have, so they always want to stick a male, attached to this. When our study has proven that it is she, the Holy Spirit, that is reserved for the end of days, which is what the celebration of August 15th is about, I believe. It's a celebration of the rebirth of the Holy Spirit back into the land. Now, to get to my personal calling. In 2004, I received my first vision, dream, revelation, whatever you'd like to call it, from God. And that was in 2004. And I'll tell you my age, I was 34 at the time when I received the vision. And I'll tell you, it blew me away. Because up until that time, I had never had a dream or vision from the Lord. And I knew it was from the Lord. Because, number one, it was vivid. It was not something I could forget. I could not get it out of my mind. I could not get it out of my thoughts. I carried it with me. Just about every minute of every day, it was in the back of my mind. It was just with me. And that was the intent of it. And it was Technicolor. Like I said, I have never experienced a dream like it in my entire life. I have had other dreams after that was in color, just not to the degree that this particular dream was in 2004. Now, I had it earlier in the year. I'm going to say it was around April, but I didn't write the date on the dream when I wrote it down, so I really don't know, but I do know it was before the summer. Because of the memories that I have of that particular summer, and incidences that took place in the summer, that I remember that I knew the dream at that time. So I knew it occurred before the summer because of the situations and whatnot. And, so what was I driving at? And so it was like no dream before it, no dream like it after. So it really stood out for me. And it was Technicolor, and what was the other thing I was going to say? It was allegory. I mean, when I look back at this dream, everything about it was allegorical. And this was before I got into the study of allegory into the Bible. It wasn't until about 2010 that I began to really kind of look up. I kind of began to awaken. And that is why we get this term, awoke everywhere. Because it speaks of the Lord that will awaken from sleep, out of a deep sleep, out of a slumber, where, like a warrior that's been drunk on wine, an admixture of doctrine, which we've shown in allegory as the Red Sea, right? And she says, that Red Sea come in, and it covered over my footsteps. Now, she says that in Psalms. There's a verse there in Psalms. I believe it's in Psalms. So, everything about this dream was allegorical. It was before I would even begin to understand allegory in the Bible. And around 2010, like I said, I began to kind of pick my head up and awaken. But it wasn't about till 2013 that I really began to study in earnest. And so in 2004, I got the dream. But now that I look back, I begin to look at things really in a spiritual context, a real spiritual overview. And so what happened in 2004 of great significance? Well, it was the tsunami, the Boxing Day tsunami that took place on December 26, 2004. The same year that I had my vision. The same year that I had my dream or revelation. Now, what else happened after that is about a week, I finally got it in my head, well, I'm going to go to God, because I wasn't into studying like I am now. It was a different time for me in my life. I hadn't been married that long. I had just gotten married in 2001. So my life was very different at that time to, what it has become over time. So I didn't study a lot. But I had got it in my head, well, fine, I'm going to ask God, why did you give me this vision, this dream? And I had it posted here for a while, and I believe I've taken it down. Maybe I haven't, or put it to private. And those who's been with me, you would know why I did that, had to do that. I feel I've had to do it with a lot of videos where I speak of Christ. Because as we've studied, we've come to understand things that most people don't want to talk about, don't want to hear about. So I may have personalized it, put it private for that reason. There's a few others that should be made private for that same reason, but I leave them up because there are things that are said in it that I just think are so important to people maybe try to pick up, and maybe will continue on the journey on their own and understand what we have concluded in the end. So in 2004, we get this earthquake, and what was I going to say? I was leading to something, right? Sorry, I lost my thought there. I had went to Daniel right? I didn't read the whole verse. But what does it say of she who is like God? It says, and at that time, that's what it was. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to write it down before I forget where I was going. So I said to the Lord, I said, will you show me why you gave me this dream? This was about a week after I had the dream. I believe that was the day I took to write it down and record it so I wouldn't forget it, because it's so easy to forget things over time. And I explained the dream. Like I said, I was in a garden, and it was just a strip of nothing but lilies. Orange. They were orange, without exception. They were orange lilies. And that became important because we understood the lilies of the covenant. And that appears in scriptures, the lilies of the covenant, or the lily of the covenant. Now, I didn't know that at that time. I really didn't know that. There's so many things I didn't know, and in that dream, they were all there. But I had to understand them in allegorical terminologies, which I wouldn't begin to pick up until 2013. But a week after I had the dream, and this is the jumping off point, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince. It's not the prince, the great principal. She was the principal that was cast down. The righteous spirit, the holy one, cast down for a harlot, all right? And we'll zero in on those passages in a little bit here, I think too. So the great principle which standeth for the children of thy people, that would be Israel, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was, since there was a nation into that same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. Now we see the Ancient of Days opening the books. We do. She calls forth her only begotten daughter, who is she who is like God, standing up. It is. Now, this was where the Lord led me to. A week after, and I got it in my head, I was going to go to God and I was going to ask God, why did you give me this dream? And God took me to this passage in Habakkuk 2. And this is what God says. Habakkuk 2. This is what God gave me. 2004, a week after I had this vision and dream, and okay, maybe I will post the link below so you can see what the dream was. And this is what the Lord said. I remember reading verses 2 and 3. These were the verses that was gave to me. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables or tablets, that she, not he, that she may run that readeth it, that understands this vision and dream, I believe. So write down the vision. And I did. I wrote the vision down. Verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. So we're getting, at that time is what we're actually getting. At that time is what we're really getting. It will speak. But at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and it will not tarry. Now, at the time when I got those verses, I said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to know soon what it means. Because just this idea that, God's time frame is the same as mine, same as yours, same as us here on planet Earth. God's going to tell me because God just says, it's for an appointed time. Well, if I had the dream last week, surely it's not going to be that long. It's not going to take that long. And yet God made sure that to cement these verses in my mind. And I never forgot that these were the verses that God gave me about a week after I had that vision in 2004. Now, in hindsight, many, many years, in hindsight, in 2004, we had this great Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, often referred to as the Boxing Day tsunami. And this is what you're going to realize. I'll post the link underneath this video, if I post the video. Because the Lord told me there's a reason why this needs to be made. God says it needs to be registered. It needs to be recorded, whatever that means. God says you can do with it what you want after, but it needs to be registered. It needs to be recorded, whatever. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I don't have so many worries now. I don't have to post it. But it needs to be on record, is what I'm kind of understanding. So guess how many people died? And this was not a good thing. You know, a lot of people lost their lives in this earthquake and tsunami in 2004. And it really did strike out of the blue. None of us, you know, some of us didn't even hear about it until, you know, quite a while after the fact that it happened, because you were still like on Christmas vacation in 2004. You know, you were still on holiday, and you know, you weren't really around the news a lot, at least, you know, I wasn't personally. And I think it come from somebody else who would, did you hear about the tsunami that happened? You know, and it's like, well, no, what tsunami? Oh, it was big and it was bad. It was nasty, you know. It killed, this is what it killed, all right? Now you say, the Lord don't speak. The Lord does speak. It's amazing. It killed 227,000 people and 898 in 14 countries. So 227,898. Now that's the estimate that they got here on Wikipedia. 227 at that time. And I had a vision in 2004 like nothing I could have ever, thought up in a million years. I mean, I was nowhere near Song of Songs, which is where in 2013 I was eventually led to with this vision, because I knew the Lord had promised me that it would speak. So here we've got 227. Well, we know 227 Strong's Hebrew means at that time. What does 898 mean? Oh, where do I get it pulled up? Back here. So Strong's Hebrew 898, this is what it means. A step. Threshold. Of a grade of dignity and wholesome influence. It says in the church. Well, it means in the standing, is what it means. It means degree. Why is that important? Well, we looked at the Psalms of degree, which has the idea, return, O Shulamite. What might we see when the Shulamite returns? As it were, the company of two armies. So here we have a threshold, a step, figuratively a grade of dignity and degree. So we get, again, like I said, the Psalms of degree, which is Psalm 120 to Psalm 134. That's what they're called, the Psalms of degree. They speak of the earth turning, right? Turning. We know they turned everything upside down. We're told that in Isaiah 29. You told the potter she had no power over the clay. You turned everything upside down is what you did. So figuratively, grade of dignity, degree. But you know, if you hit on bathos, which is what it's derived from, it's 899. Remember, 898 people died. 227,898 people died. So 898 meant the step, the threshold, dignity, a degree of dignity, derived from 899. You know what that meant? Depth. That's what it means. You suppose the Lord is trying to tell us something? Depth, deep water, fullness, immensity, an extreme degree, profundities, deep laid plans. You see? The Lord says, I have deep laid plans and they will come to pass. And they will come to pass in my time frame at that time. From the same as bathos, profundity, by implication, extent, figuratively, mystery, deepness, things, depth. Now we've come to understand that the mystery that got revealed at the 3.5-year mark of the 7-year trib, as they call it, the mystery that got revealed was that the Lord is daughter Israel, whom was denied in the earth as the Holy One in her law. Now that's the mystery that was revealed. This is the other interesting thing. Now this is how I'm going to tell you this is pure speculation on my part, that eye in the sky and those that are in charge of it get to say on when you get dropped into this realm. You get dropped in when they determine to drop you in. At that time, you will perform your run for the finish line. You'll either reach it or you won't. But they'll determine who gets dropped in and when they get dropped in to this realm. That means the life that you're going to live here. That eye in the sky determines when and at what time. Who and at what time. Now, my thoughts is the Holy One from the beginning. She says, I swear by myself that I live forever. All right? The Holy One, they're not going to drop her in until the end. They're not. Because it's just simply against their best interest to drop her in at any other time. They're going to drop her in at the end. And hope that she don't know who she is. And it sounds arrogant. I don't think she's one. I think the idea of the branch is that there's many daughters that are part of that branch, right? If you choose to pursue who you are, you're going to find God at the end of that pursuit. That's what you're going to find. I found that I was called and that I was gave a message. I didn't realize it at the time that by pursuing the dream and this vision that had been gave to me, that it would actually lead to a personal message that had been gave to me by God. That message I discovered, and again, it's going to sound really arrogant, I came to the full realization of what that message was in August and September of 2017. Right. Now, I think that Tsunami in 2004, when I had the vision, as mighty and big and grand as it sounds, and though it sounds grand, you don't know what your calling is. You really don't. You can look at me and say, oh, well, you're arrogant. You know, look at who you think you are. But you haven't pursued who you are. You don't know who you are because you haven't pursued it. It's not that you may not have a grand calling. It's simply that you have chosen not to pursue these deeper truths. Now, I think somehow, when I was given this vision, this dream, it was somehow signaled to the heavens. It was. They knew it. They knew a Holy One had been dropped into this realm. They knew it. And what happened, possibly, God sent in a spiritual army that registered as a tsunami. Why? How? I don't know. But it registered as this tsunami and quake that took so many lives, a specific number, and I believe it was a spiritual army that entered this realm. And it registered in this way. And I think from there, this army went out to the four corners of the world in a spiritual manner to seek out the holy ones. Holy One, in my case, that had received this particular vision. I received it in 2004. Am I saying I'm the only one that received a vision in 2004? No. I'm saying that I know myself that I did. And I know that this event, great event, took place in 2004. And I think this great army went out, the Spirit went out to the four corners of the world in search of this branch. Because they knew we had been dropped into this room. They knew it. They can't cover that, the eye in the sky. And they're in charge of the eye in the sky because of the accusations that got made against us. We have gone silent, but we were dropped in to make our inquisition. They were hoping we wouldn't know enough to do that. That's what they were hoping. But either by ordination of heaven, they had to either give out those visions to us, or God did it. All right? Or the Holy Ones called up memories. Now, I also found this meaning of, I couldn't help but see my own personal name in it, Naomi. Strong's Greek, 3415, and it means remember. It means to remember. So, and the idea has that you are doing the remembering yourself. You're causing yourself to remember what you told yourself not to forget, is kind of the idea behind it. So did I call up a vision that had been stored by me? And when they dropped me into I know it sounds crazy, but remember, if we're looking at us having a spirit upon us, and we're told the spirit is eternal, then we've been eternal. We're eternal beings, plain and simple. So did I call that memory up? And when that memory got called up, it, bing, in heaven, one of ours is there. One of our messengers is there, and she's got the message. She's called it out. Send our army in. And that spiritual army is going to register as a mighty force in the earth. I think the earth is registering quite a few of them now. The earth shows it somehow. I don't fully comprehend it. And in 2017, the summer of 2017, I had done enough studies up to that point that I had begun to understand the key of David. And I was to the point where I knew what it was, I just hadn't grabbed onto it to the full degree that my mind needed to. And it was not until September 21, 2017 that I was like, that's definitely the key of David. Definitely. So, during those eclipses, and it's interesting that you get an X, the symbol of mother, is what you get on the crossing of this solar eclipse. Was it a lunar? It was a solar eclipse. August, was it 21? Which just so happens to almost line up with August 15th on the calendar, the Holy One. Part of that, of course, is what I'm saying. To go into April, was it 8th, 2024, and on the map, it'll make this X. And I think that X is symbolizing the rebirth of the Holy Ones, mothers, daughters, mothers, representation. Now, on September 21, is how I look at it, 2017, I was given the key of David. And in that key of David was a message, was the message that I would begin to trumpet upon, which I have been doing now. I didn't actually put the videos up, begin to put the videos up until April. What was it, April? What was the date? April 5th, 2018 was the first video I put up. Then it's been took down since then. I had a bit of a battle with, God, the Spirit, myself. Do you want me to take this out? It felt very important to me that I do so. And now I realize that if you gave a message, you gave it not to hide it, but you gave it to speak upon it. And they're either going to hear you or not. And so we have at that time, in 2004, that God showed me that in Habakkuk. And then we have at that time, she who's like God, that's the branch, the new branch took out. She's also called the messenger of the covenant, though they've got the pronoun he. In Malachi chapter 3, it is clearly she who is the messenger of the covenant. She's also called the light of the world. In Isaiah 49, we know that is Israel that was cast out amongst the Gentiles, the woman's seed. They always want to say it's male, male, male. No, the woman's seed, you were only classed as an Israelite through the women. the men, if they took wives from the surrounding Adamic nation, as is indicated that the men in Israel did, and cast off a covenant with that branch, which were the women inside the nation of Israel, they cast off that covenant. They were no longer saw as Israelites. They were not. It was only through the woman's seed that you would be perceived as an Israelite. And they took those branches that they were to be in covenant with, and they cast them out amongst the Gentiles. And that's why it takes us to Isaiah 49, where it says, you will not only claim the Israelites as your own, but you will claim the Gentiles as yours. Ask of me the nations, and I'll give them all to you, she says to her daughter in Psalm 2. And it is a daughter, it is not a son. And the word used there of the father, no, is the mother, is the word birth. Yeah, as in childbirth. It's not a father speaking there. And it is a mother speaking to her firstborn daughter that she pulls out of the nations. Now, sorry, I talked about myself. But this was what God gave me. All right, we're going to look at. Okay, so Habakkuk 2 we looked at. For the vision awaits an appointed time. It testifies of the end and does not lie. Though it lingers, wait for it, since it will surely come and will not delay. Now, when we go to, if I can figure out, we looked at this verse as well. We'll hit on it right quick. Psalm 78:65. Then the Lord, that's 136, that is daughter Israel's number. We've identified it in many studies, how we link it back to her number, not his. Then the Lord awoke us from sleep as a warrior wakes from the stupor of wine. That's the admixture of doctrine, the Red Sea. We've allegorized, we've come to understand it all. This is what it says in, is that the one I want first? Okay, no, it's back here. It is Daniel, where is it? Daniel 8:13. All right? And I was led to all of these passages over time. Then I heard one saint, one holy one speaking, and another holy one said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning what? The daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation. Now we've understood what the abomination of desolation was. Takes us to that little verse in Isaiah 54:1. Yet more are the children of a desolate spirit than of she who has a husband. The abomination of desolation ends up being a man inside of a man being declared as God. And it is the harlot that goes along with it all. Also called Baal in Isaiah 54:1, which is more or less saying she'll preach his word, what he wants preached. And she'll have no children because of it. But it is the abomination of desolation. So here we get, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? Who was trodden underfoot? The Holy One was trodden underfoot, and her inheritance, her birthright. And that largely is the women that were cast off. That's what that comes down to. Israel was her name. Jacob stole her birthright when he wrestled her. She says, let me go, for the daylight cometh. All right? There's much to be understood in that. Now, when we go here, all right, in Daniel 8, we get this. Because what does the harlot say, the harlot spirit say, Babylon, called Babylon, the queen, Babylon, say, in Isaiah 47, she says, no one sees me. I will never be widowless. I will never be childless. Why no one sees her? Because she's hid in his heart. And we get Adam daubing over the wall. Daubing it up. He daubs it up with lies, is what your idea is. He strengthens himself. He empowers himself under religious lies and laws. And so when we go to Daniel 8, it says, and it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and the stars to the ground. That's the holy ones. And stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the principal of the host, the commander of the host, she, daughter Israel. She is the sovereign Lord over the kingdom. And by him, or you can say the harlot Babylon that he exalted in his heart, the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of her sanctuary was cast down. That was the house in the forest of Lebanon, which largely identifies the woman's body. That's right, her apparel. And he tears her down. He tore her down, stuck her under him. That's right. And we've discussed all of this in allegory, so I'm not going to go through it again. But what was the daily sacrifice that gets taken away? It's the thanksgiving given to the Holy One. God says, I require no blood of you. I never asked a bull, a goat. I never asked of them. I never asked the shedding of blood. All I asked was for thanksgiving, that you be thankful for the things that you have and that you are provided with. And what does it say? The daily sacrifice was taken away. And a host was given over to him, to her, the harlot, to give to him, which is the abomination of desolation, a man inside of him. And yet it says, yet more are the children of the desolate than of she who has a husband. You get it? And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it's practiced, and it has prospered, and it still is. Until at that time, when she who is like God will stand up for her children, right? The branch took out, the new branch. This was the verse God gave to me when I asked, all right? And you be the judge. I'm not making this up. You can say I am. It doesn't matter. I know the truth. God knows the truth. This was the verse when I opened the Bible that God took me to, whether or not to confirm that I put this video up recorded. And this is where I was taken to. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 20. You know what it says? At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. For I will make you a name. What name? Israel. Israel, reborn out of the dust of the earth. I hear a familiar spirit as of one speaking out of the dust of the earth. That's the reborn spirit, represented as the stone cut out without hands that smashes the toes on the idol in Daniel. I always say 2 and 3. And I will make you a name and praise among all peoples of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith the Lord. You tell me the Lord isn't speaking. To be a trumpet means to speak for God. That's what it means. And I've been given this message from God. I know that now. It's took me this long. And oftentimes in my studies I would get from God, a lot of times hit it, and I would keep saying to the Lord, what do you mean by this word? And you keep throwing it at me. And every which way it would come up in my studies. And it was, make haste, make haste, make haste. You know, God was telling me, be about your business. You have a message. And I need you to make haste with that message. So, what does it say? Behold, I will send my messenger, and she, shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek, the true Lord, the glory, shall suddenly come to, not his temple, her temple. We find her temple described in Ezekiel 47. It is the water that comes out from under that temple that identifies who the temple really is, she. The spouse that'll spring like a living water, once again, that was denied in the beginning. We see the first Adam tearing her well of water down after it does say pissed in it. I was looking at the word Moab from Abraham Publications, and they were saying, never is the father's water ever described as semen. Well, that's only because they haven't looked at the right words. It is here. It's, where is it? I pulled the word up right quick, just, back here maybe. Mayim. Strong's Hebrew 4325. Wasting, watering, course. Dual of a primitive noun, but used in a singular sense. Water, figuratively juice. By euphemism, urine, semen, piss, wasting, water, watering, course, flood, spring. So we see her springing up like the living water she was always intended to be, but denied, had her well of water torn down, was put subject to a lie, a religious lie and law system, that's right, put in bondage by the kings of this world. They brought her into bondage so that her voice was no longer heard on the hills of Israel. It says she had strong branches by reason of many waters. Now it says that in Ezekiel 19. We see those same branches defined as daughters in Joseph's blessings in Genesis 49, 23, 24. And as these branches, daughters, climb over the wall, that's as the key of David, the archers, Baal, your husband, Lord and Master, wants to rule over you, shot at them. That's the false covenant. A bow is a symbol of a covenant. In this case, it's a symbol of a false covenant. And the arrows are allegorical to the teeth that tore these daughters down. That's what it's allegorical to. And she has to respond in the court case. She does. I was looking at many things and I thought, well, gee, I could do a study on this. I could share this with them. In the end, it ended up with this. And I guess it's to validate that, for all that you say that you believe in, at some point, the trumpet's going to sound and we're going to hear it and we're going to be took off planet Earth. Well, it says she, it's not he. She comes like a thief in the night. Do you know what that really means? You're still in darkness of what the truth is. You are. You're in absolute darkness. You know what the men of the world's got you doing? You're guilty of exactly what they were guilty of doing in Isaiah 22. They went up to the rooftops and they would arch back their heads. This is how I see it in my mind. And they would look upward to the heavens. Sorry about my double chin. And they would look up to the heavens and they would worship the hosts of heaven and wait, just wait for their idol to come and take them home. An idol built by their own hands, that same idol that we see in Daniel 2. That's exactly what we see. And that's just what they're doing now. They're still in absolute darkness, which makes me, ponder again that saying of the angel that Jacob wrestled and stole her birthright. And she says, let me go, for the daylight cometh. So the Holy One comes like a thief in the night. You're still in absolute darkness, and you're not going to hear her. And that's why God promised in the beginning, if you pull this lie to yourself, you're going to die in this lie. But again, to know this message, it's important that, you seek it out yourself. And I truly believe that eye in the sky that he's in charge of, he's took control of it. And he got control of it through the accusations that he made. And the only way he's going to stay in control of that is when these ones get dropped in here, that he keeps them ignorant to who they are, so that they cannot testify on behalf of God's cause. What does it say? Let me see if I can find the verse. I believe it's in Psalm. And we've looked at this one before. Yeah, Psalm 35, 1-10. Plead my cause, O Lord, with those who strive against me. Fight against those who fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler and stand up for my help. Also, draw out the spear and stop those who pursue me. That's interesting. That takes us to, where is it, 2 Samuel? Is it 22:23? Those who approach those sons of Belial must be armed with spear. You must be armed. You must understand the word, the truth, if you're to defend your cause, God's cause. Now it's translated slightly different. Rise up, O God, and defend your cause. Remember how fools mock you all day long. And they do. Do not disregard the clamor of your adversaries and the uproar of your enemies that ascend continually. That's the accusation of Satan, we've proven to be Adam, the accuser in the beginning who accused the woman. And he did so because he knew he was going to get rich off of her goods. He was going to take control of her power, and he would become the sovereign king over it all, and especially if he could stay in control of the lies and ahead of the game. He's in charge of that eye in the sky. You have this lifetime to figure the truth out, which means when you figure that truth out, you bring great blessings upon your head when you do so. But we, everyone, get that equal opportunity to do it for ourselves. That's why I believe it says in the Apocrypha, once again, it's in 2nd Ezra, is it 13? Those on the other side look on. And why they are fearful of all that we're going through here in the end, they still have this wish to be here. Because you know why, I think? Because they blew it when they had their opportunity. When they got here, when they lived their life here, they had equal opportunity to pursue the truth and to bring upon themselves great blessings. What does David say? The lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. Because he pursued the Lord. And by pursuing the Lord, you're going to find out who you are and the plans that God has for you. But if you don't, you're going to miss out on them great blessings that the Lord has prepared for you. And one of them may be a great message, a huge message. And I can't help but see a lot of this stuff lining up. I believe perhaps what come through, and it may be a gateway. It may have been an opening. It may have been the powers of darkness. I don't know. But that gateway that opened up, that I got the message of the key of David, it may have been the right hand. And that right hand has been guiding me in the message. That's what I believe. But you've got to listen. You've got to hear. And you can't be looking up at the heavens, because the whole time you're looking up, waiting for your king to show up, which is a lie. An idol don't save you. You walk in the way of God. You can have all the faith you want, but if you've got faith in an absolute lie, it's not going to save you. The only thing that does save you and preserve you and bring blessing to you is faith in the truth. In finding your personal calling that God has for you. And I truly believe that God has called me to be a messenger of the true covenant of God, to be an inquisitor, to make inquisition. I am doing it because that's what God has called me to do. And so when you go to Habakkuk chapter 2, this was the full message. When I backtrack to verse 1, it says, I will stand at my guard post, a watchman, a watchwoman of the truth. I will stand over the truth. I will stand at my guard post and station myself on the ramparts. What does it say? Then the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. That's the messenger of the covenant that you're looking at there. For the vision awaits an appointed time, and it testifies of the end, and it does not lie. Though it lingers, wait for it, since it will surely come, and it will not delay. And it has not. It has not delayed. It might have lingered. But delayed, it's here on time. It's here on at that time. And you can say it don't add up. You can say I'm full of crap. I don't care. I'm here with a message on behalf of my Lord. And that's all I know. And it's a hard message because you know what? People's going to call you fool. She really believes that. Ha ha ha. A fool for the Lord. And so that's why God says, will you go for me? Will you? Will you? What do you really believe? You say you believe in an angel coming in the heavens trumpeting, saying now's the time, but when it's really all said and done, you can't be bothered to reason out the truth. That's on you. You can have great glory and honor, but you've got to believe, and you don't. For all that you say, you do not believe that God makes sense and reason. You don't. And you don't believe that God's going to send a real messenger of the covenant and show that to you through the word. You don't believe that. Or I'd have hundreds of thousands of hits from Christians. But I don't. I don't. The highest the video's ever gotten on my channel before I took it down was like 3,000. And that was 4 years to get there. No wonder she comes like a thief in the night as a messenger of the covenant. You're still in absolute darkness and you don't want to hear the truth. Especially from a woman. Because you've been taught so many lies. And so many wrong thinking. You just can't be bothered. And you won't even be bothered to bless yourself by seeking it out for yourself. Because believe you me, I don't believe for 5 seconds I'm the only one that God is speaking to. I don't. So, a fool for God? I guess, is there any better thing? You got to be willing, I guess, to let them ha-ha at you. Let them laugh behind your back. Let them laugh to your face. That's fine. God gets the last laugh when it's all said and done. So, there we go. Actually, I thought I was over an hour already. I'm not, so good. So, there's my message. I know I didn't include everything. I'll post my dream below. But understand, since that time, we've understood who Jesus was and that he is the idol spoken of in Daniel 2. That the New Testament, the Greek, is the feet of the idol that caused it to continue to stand, to really get a good standing. That's what we've understood. We didn't understand it in the beginning. It took us time in our climb to get there. We're still understanding. Until the message, until I guess I'm told that I'm done sounding. I feel done. I feel like I'm near to done. I do want to look at wisdom. It's interesting to look into the Apocrypha and find so many different things that does actually line up, though they're hid. But you know, there is the idea that they're watching us from the other side and they're wishing, you know, I wish I'd have run my course better. I wish I'd have sought harder for the truth, even within my own heart. Even if nobody else saw me seeking it and asking all these questions and coming to, you know, certain understandings through the Spirit's leading, and I didn't necessarily share them, I still should have tried. I still should have tried. It's important enough to try. And I see there's so many more elements that I just keep to myself that the Lord has shared with me about myself. And I'm sure I'm not the only one keeping those particular elements to myself. I know there's others probably out there. I don't mean to sound arrogant. I just want to validate the message of God. And I truly believe that I was called as a messenger of this covenant. So I wanted to show that to you. I doubt there'll be any more hitting on the videos. I have grown over time. There has been a few more, I think, that are hearkening to the message. You know, when I began, I was getting 4. That was the total. And it stayed 4 for a long time. A long time, like over a year, it felt like. 4 likes, one of which was my own. Then we got kind of bumped up to a total of 5 watching the videos, and 4 likes were not mine. They were somebody else's. 1 like was mine. 1 view was mine, because I'd always have to start the ball rolling. And then it would get up to 4 or 5, and it 4 or 5, and then, and now I have a few watching. I actually get, like, I've got 32 likes, 33 likes on my last video. That's unheard of in 3 days, 4 days. That's crazy. That's great. Somebody's hearing the message. Even in darkness, there's going to be those that'll hear the message and, reason the truth out. Wisdom makes sense. She's wise. And when she sees one of her holy ones remembering, of their own accord, to some degree, that is there in that word, 34:15. Look it up, Strong's Greek. Is the idea that you cause yourself to remember the things that you have forgotten. And so I think possibly that revelation in 2004 did come as a result from, the spirit that I have always been. And when that memory come up, it registered in heaven somehow, is what I believe. I've been called. I've been called. And the Lord has validated that for me. And the Lord couldn't have validated the message any more than right here in Zephaniah, what was it, 3? 3 verse 20. At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I will gather you. For I will make you a name and a praise strong, and a praise among all people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith the Lord. Turn back. What might we see when the Shulamite returns? As it were the company of 2 armies. So there we go. So I pray you're blessed with an abundance of wisdom. I pray you're washed in the pure water of God. That's the truth and the word. And walk in the way of God, the laws of heaven that was denied in the beginning. You don't need the blood of a man to walk in the way of God. You don't. You don't. That's not a qualification to bow down at an idol. It's not. You walk in the way of God. You follow the way of God. So, thanks for watching. I hope y'all have a really, really, this is an ending day for me. But I hope wherever you are, you're having a beautiful day, a wonderful day, and a gorgeous evening to enjoy. And I thank you for watching.